Bengaluru awoke to sheer chaos. Heavy rains relentlessly lashed the city. This was far from an ordinary shower. It was an overwhelming deluge. The date was May 20th, 2025. It felt like a day of reckoning. Nature's immense fury was unleashed. The city found itself tragically unprepared. Rainfall records were not just broken, they were shattered. Some unfortunate areas witnessed the most rain since 2011. A staggering 130 millimeters fell in just 12 hours. This was a relentless, brutal assault of water. From Sunday evening through to Monday dawn, the city received a soaking it would not forget. Kengeri recorded an enormous 132 millimeters of rain. Vaderahalli was close behind, seeing 131 millimeters. The city's antiquated drains quickly choked. They were old, neglected, and completely overwhelmed. Designed decades ago for far less water, perhaps suitable for 40 millimeters to 70 millimeters at most, certainly not for this ferocious, unexpected onslaught. Widespread waterlogging became the grim reality. Roads transformed alarmingly into swift-flowing rivers. The drainage system simply and utterly collapsed. Tragedy, as it often does, struck with cruel swiftness. 3 precious human lives were tragically lost. Manmohan Kamath, aged 63, was electrocuted. Young Dinesh, only 12, also met a grim, watery fate. They were desperately trying to pump out rainwater. In Dollar's Colony, BTM layout second stage, Shashikala D, a 32-year-old software employee, died too. A compound wall collapsed on her in Whitefield. The overall impact on the city was devastating. Approximately 500 homes were completely flooded. Families watched in horror and helplessness as dirty water invaded their homes and lives. Countless valuable possessions were lost forever. Livelihoods were suddenly and severely threatened. Commuters were forced to wade through knee-deep water. The entire city felt dangerously adrift, abandoned. The city's infrastructure buckled significantly under the immense pressure. Major roads quickly became impassable, isolating communities. A reported 44 four-wheelers were submerged or damaged. An astonishing 93 two-wheelers were swept away by currents. Broken vehicles littered the waterlogged landscape. Public transport services were halted in many areas. The BMTC bus depot at Shantinagar itself was flooded. Additionally, 27 large trees were uprooted by the storm. Key arterial areas of Bengaluru were effectively crippled. The busy Silkboard junction was thoroughly inundated. Sai layout in the Mahadevapura zone faced severe flooding. The prominent Manyata Tech Park was also significantly affected. Even relatively new infrastructure projects suffered damage. This included the central Silkboard metro station. Though still under construction, it was now deeply waterlogged, a stark, visible symbol of the city's vulnerability. The surrounding environment also paid a heavy price. 20 out of 29 lakes in the Yelahanka zone reached their full capacity, spilling over their banks, a stark reminder of how altered landscapes react. 5 innocent animals tragically perished in the deluge. This included 3 cows, a calf, and a buffalo. They were lost in R.R. Nagar's swollen Vrishabhavati Valley, nature's delicate balance profoundly and visibly disturbed. The vast government machinery slowly creaked into motion. Bruhat, Bengaluru, Mahanagara Palike, BBMP officials were on the ground. Chief Minister Siddaramaiah personally reviewed the situation. He directed operations from the BBMP war room. He stressed the urgent need for drain remodeling and desilting. State Disaster Response Force, SDRF teams deployed boats. Essential food packets and clean water were supplied to the residents in the worst-hit marooned areas. The predictable political blame games quickly began. The opposition Bharatiya Janata Party, BJP, criticized the government. They alleged a complete failure to prepare for such rains. This despite millions purportedly spent on infrastructure. They demanded a sum of 1,000 crore rupees from the state for immediate relief operations and damage repair. The state government defended its actions vigorously, saying these complex problems were long-standing, ignored for years. Experts, however, pointed to much deeper systemic issues. Rapid, often chaotic and unplanned urban construction, much of it occurring directly over lakes and wetlands. This was a recurring, sorrowful theme in Bengaluru's story. Poor, short-sighted urban planning was widely cited. It was described as a perfect recipe for disaster. Bengaluru's celebrated IT-driven growth story, it seemed, had a dark, neglected and watery underbelly. The city's drainage systems were exposed as woefully outdated. BBMP Engineer-in-Chief Prahalad B.S. openly admitted this fact. He stated they urgently needed comprehensive modernization. Climate change was also highlighted as a contributing factor. This event was not merely a stroke of bad luck. It was the consequence of prolonged systemic failure. Numerous previous warnings had evidently been ignored. The city and its people ultimately paid the price. Unusual and telling sights marked the unfolding chaos. A local member of the Legislative Assembly, MLA, was seen riding atop a JCB excavator, a heavy earth mover, surveying the deeply inundated areas of his constituency. It was a stark, almost surreal image of the crisis. This single act spoke volumes about the situation, about the sheer scale and severity of the flooding. Ordinary citizens resorted to using makeshift boats. The immediate danger, unfortunately, was not yet over. The India Meteorological Department, IMD, issued more warnings. They forecasted that heavy rains were likely to continue for at least the next 5 critical days. An orange alert was declared specifically for Bengaluru. Meanwhile, coastal Karnataka faced an even more severe red alert. The entire city remained palpably on edge, anxious. These pre-monsoon showers proved exceptionally fierce. Experts passionately called for genuine, sustainable change, not just more temporary, reactive fixes after disasters. They urged for long-term, robust infrastructure solutions, a plea to modernize all drainage systems without delay, to clear all remaining stormwater drain (SWD) encroachments. Of 4,292 identified, only 2,326 had been cleared. The city's entire urban planning approach needs a radical overhaul. It must protect and restore its natural water buffers. Bengaluru desperately needs to build a safer future. This epic flood serves as an extremely harsh lesson. Prevention, not reaction, must become paramount. Reactive post-disaster measures are simply not enough. Deep systemic changes are absolutely essential now to build true, lasting resilience within the city against the increasing threat of extreme weather events. The very survival of Bengaluru potentially depends on it.